Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter. T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Geothermal energy is an energy source that has been discovered that uses heat deep within the earth. But before we go to that, let's start a little bit closer to home. Let's consult an expert. This is Matt. He works in installing home geothermal heating and cooling systems.
Well, Bill, geothermal energy can be used in two different ways. I'm going to be talking about how to heat homes or small buildings. So this uses a principle that the ground, usually about 10 feet under, stays a pretty constant temperature, usually between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat is used to transfer water. So let's look at a diagram. So the air inside the house, as seen here, is put into a chamber, which is then later pumped underground. After it's pumped underground, it goes through heat dispersion into the soil. After this, the air comes right back up into the chamber.
Works.
And for heating, it's basically the same thing, but the opposite effect.
Alright. This is Alex, and she works at a geothermal energy company.
In order to take the heat energy deep in the earth and turn it into electrical energy, there are two methods. The first one takes the steam given off by this hot water and uses that to turn the turbine. The other method takes the hot water in the earth to boil and vaporize a working fluid in order to turn the turbine. Let us look at a diagram to explain this further. Bill was talking about the most popular type of plant, which is a binary plant. The one I would like to talk about is the dry steam power plant. As you can see here, the cycle starts with the working fluid going deep into the earth. Then once down there, it heats up and then vaporizes and comes back up. This steam or vapor is then used to power the turbine, before being cooled and sent back to the earth to repeat the cycle. A flash steam power plant is when the high-pressured, more dense water is passed over the less dense water, creating steam. This power plant is also very common, but not as popular as the binary power plant.
The best part about geothermal energy is that it's overall environmentally friendly. It produces only 1/6 of the carbon dioxide as normal methods. It is important to keep in mind that geothermal energy still produces carbon dioxide, just not as much. This decreases ocean acidification because it's putting less carbon dioxide in the environment. It is a renewable resource that is much cheaper compared to fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are used to both heat houses and create energy, and geothermal energy does both.
Unfortunately, all well things come with a cost. Geothermal energy produces low levels of hydrogen sulfide, which kind of smells like rotten eggs. Something that you would know, Bill, since you always smell like it. Geothermal energy also releases some geothermal fluids, which may contain small amounts of toxic fluids.
It's important to realize that geothermal energy is recognized as an essential opportunity for the planet to cut down drastically on abundant amount of carbon dioxide.
Yes, that is very true, Bill. Carbon dioxide acidifying our oceans is terrible for the environment. Also very true, it is important that geothermal energy's abilities are discussed more often than they are currently discussed. It can really save the environment for the better by cutting back drastically on ocean acidification. That way, the oceans will be cleaner for our aquatic life and for us.
Well, besides just the environment, it is also very harmful to some aquatic mammals in the water. Specifically speaking, shelled organisms such as the Japanese spider crab. See, with too much carbon dioxide, it can make shells harder to build. Their shells are what protect them against predators. If their shells weaken and deteriorate, there is a large risk of other predators consuming them and making them go extinct as their species dies out.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. If we continue to use fossil fuels, we will destroy these precious animals through the ocean acidification. Ocean acidification is when carbon dioxide is dissolved into the ocean, creating carbonic acid. This carbonic acid increases the acidity and decreases the pH of the water. This creates problems for a lot of ocean life, as most rely on the pH. When it changes, it can throw everything off.
This animal is the Japanese spider crab. They kind of look like God made a joke and created a romance with a crab and a spider. Their scientific name is Macrochiria compiferi. Wow, what a name!
Now, children, would you like to know what it eats? Cool. Well, these animals are omnivorous, scavengers, or detrivores. They're like the vultures of the sea. Isn't that amazing? How voltacular. These fantastic animals will eat live kelp along with algae, but they also eat dead organisms. Yum. They eat dead organisms off the bottom of the ocean, but if they can, they will catch small living organisms. Now with the scientist, Alex, for their...
I'm here to report the strange habits of the Japanese spider crab. They form a mutualistic relationship with sponges, which they have on their shell for camouflage. Oh dear, didn't see you there, big fella. These crabs reproduce every spring as they travel to shallow waters. They will reproduce from January to March. These females will lay 1.5 million eggs every year. However, only few will survive. These eggs will be carried by the female until they hatch. The rearing temperature is 15 to 18 degrees Celsius.
These crabs can live up to 100 years old, unlike me, which on average humans only live 84 years old. Think about this. Whoa!
These crabs have 8 legs with 2 front appendages. Crabs can be found missing a leg due to them being extremely fragile. This name translates to tall-legged crabs. These crabs can be found on the Pacific side of the Japanese islands, Honshu, Kyushu, and Suao. They live at 150 to 300 feet. The temperature at these depths is on average 10 degrees Celsius. Younger crabs live in shallower areas because they survive better in warmer waters, just like old people.
Wow, so slow and majestic. These animals can live at depths up to 600 meters, but only the adult animals, crabs, can live at such depths. These animals are found in temperate saltwater and marine environments. These aquatic biomes are actually benthic and coastal. What an environment. I would like to be near the coast. Now, back to you, Bill. These animals are shaped differently, depending on their sex. They will have a subcircular carapace that is pear-shaped. Females will tend to be wider, but smaller. The crabs are covered with small tubercles.
If geothermal energy is used more, this could prevent more ocean acidification. Fortunately, since it produces much lower and limited carbon dioxide levels, there is less of a chance of ocean acidification, due to, of course, less carbon dioxide being able to seep into the ocean and water. This means that the pH levels in the water will not be affected as badly, so there's a less of a chance of the Japanese spider crab's shell deteriorating. The Japanese spider crab's food chain is composed of the tertiary all the way down to the detrivores. The tertiary consumers are composed of whales, stingrays, and people. The secondary consumers are large fish, octopus. The primary consumers are snails, small fish, and lobsters. The producers are plankton, kelp, and algae. The detrivore is the Japanese spider crab. The Japanese spider crab eats all the dead organisms that may fall to the bottom. However, it does eat live kelp along with live algae. The Japanese spider crabs are not as affected by ocean acidification as other animals, such as small fish. The small fish, along with octopus, eat snails. These small snails suffer from also having a hard time making their shells. These fish and octopus would suffer from having a missing food source, as these animals died. Also, a keystone species, or plankton, which is composed of thousands of tiny microorganisms, make up the building blocks of the ocean. These species are endangered due to ocean acidification. Some species will thrive, but others will die off. This damage will impact the whale, whose main food source is plankton. Also, many fish eat plankton. If this food source was to be impacted, the damage would travel all the way through the ecosystem, such that larger fish and predators who feed on them will die. The rapid death will fuel the growth of the crabs for a small amount of years until their remains are gone. The crab will then begin to die off. Also, their young is very small when it hatches. If the crabs cannot form a shell, they too will die. The habitat would have a lot of seagrasses and kelp as there would be less fish due to ocean acidification. Overall, that is the impact on the food chain.